Hey guys, what's up? Chris here for BeerGeekNation.com, joined by a very special guest, the president and owner, founder of Sixpoint Brewery. This is Shane Welch. And today, guys, we are talking about their double IPA they just released maybe about a month ago-ish. Yeah. This is the Resin in 12-ounce cans. And Shane, I'll leave it up to you to kind of give a description of what the resin is.
Sure.
You know, as far as what beer drinkers can expect and where it came from, really. So
the Resin is basically a strong ale. It's the only canned beer that we do that's in 12-ounce. Right. Normally we do 16-ounce cans, right?
Right.
But this one's a very strong beer, and what it does is it harnesses all the power of hop resin.
Nice.
So basically, when you harness the power of hops, it's that bittering quality, that pine, that citrus. Sometimes, depending upon the variety, you can even get flavors like basil and onion and intense herbal flavor. Popular hops nowadays. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants fruit, right?
Simcoe, Citra,
Amarillo.
Right, right.
Yeah. So everyone wants juicy fruit, right? And that's great because it's like drinking fruit juice, right? But then there's certain hops that are herbal, they're pungent, they're garlicky, they're intense.
Right.
And what you're finding is some of the people who really get into IPA, they're willing to graduate from the fruit juice and to go to the stuff that's a little bit more intense. Right. This was one of the first beers that was engineered by Sixpoint. Okay. Our Braumeister took over the brewing reins basically from me last November, 2011. And so Jan is from Germany, and he was born and raised in Germany. But he was a graduate of the Weinsteffen Institute. So it's a very technical, sophisticated academic approach to beer. So he has a very unique approach to beer that we felt we were lacking, because what we had was raw creative power, right? But we didn't have the German engineering like a Mercedes from top to bottom. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to fuse those two elements together.
Okay.
And so he brings a cleanliness, and he brings a precision into the beer making process. It's hard to refer to beer making as manufacturing because it's such a craft that it's not just mechanical, you know what I mean? Right. Like metaphorically speaking, with flavor, what we're looking to do is there's a certain threshold for everyone.
Right.
And what I mean by this is when you're making beer, you're participating in what we call controlled spoilage. It's no different than making cheese or pickles and stuff. What you're doing is you're allowing something to transform, and you're controlling the variables in the environment just enough so that it's not offensive and it's actually delicious, right?
Right.
But what's really interesting is guiding it right along that threshold where, like, if there was just a little bit more hops, or if this thing was just a little bit more sour, you wouldn't want it. It's like it's gone too far.
Right.
So it's interesting to kind of identify where that boundary is. Like what is the line of demarcation here where it's like we've gone too far?
Right.
And sometimes it's fun to go right up to that line, right? But sometimes it's even fun to go slightly over that line and bring someone with you and be like, this represents one of the most extreme tastes you could get.
Right.
And we're bringing you along for the ride.
Do you have to, as a brewer, say, all right, here's the line. Do we want to go over, or do we want to kind of pull it back?
I think it's a feedback process, you know, and so like when you're at a concert, right, the people who are performing on stage, they're going to play the songs that they think their audience is going to be really receptive to. Right. But at the same time, they might throw in a couple other songs that they just want to throw
in. From the new album. What?
Right, exactly. Right, so you can't just keep rehashing all the same stuff.
Okay.
So it's a blend, and everyone, what happens is once you build trust up with your customers and they know that when you come out with something new and that every time you put something out there it's going to be good, that's when you know you have that trust.
Absolutely.
But it takes a while to get there. You gotta prove it to people over time that when they grab your beer, that every time they grab it, they know they can count on it.
As far as like the team behind all the beer, as far as, you know, from brewing right up to marketing to production to how important is that as far as the quality of the beer, I guess?
It's everything. I mean, I do people by default want to ascribe the credit to what I do, but I am a very little part of Sixpoint. The team and my staff around me is really who brings everything and makes it all happen. And I'm just more of a visionary. I just kind of guide the overall direction. Okay. But I'm not responsible for this. I mean, this is the result of a whole team of people who will all participate in bringing this together to make it happen.
How important is that to you as far as what people on the internet, think of Sixpoint?
But what I do is I try to take the pulse of what the digital reputation is.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same time, I feel that the only thing that matters is truth. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of amazing great beers and amazing great breweries out there, and they get no love. Right. They get nothing. Right. And they probably never will. Right. And it's a shame, and it's like, you can just tell, and you can kind of tell like just the way the momentum is going, and they're they don't have the mojo, but they're amazing. Right. And then similarly, there's a lot of places that they generate a lot of attractive eyes and a lot of for everything they do. Right. But they're not necessarily performing at the level that the guy who's not getting any love, right? Yeah. You're preaching the choir here. I mean, I see it all the time. See it all the time. So it's like it's hard to wrap your head around why these things are. You could say maybe someone has better mojo, or they just got the knack, or they have a good machine for that kind of press or whatever. But I really feel that in the long, because sooner or later someone's going to wake up and they're going to be like, this beer's damn good. And you know what? I don't care what the hype stirs or what other people are saying. Right. I know that when I buy this beer, that it's awesome. And that doesn't just apply to beer. That applies to like any product. Right. Like sooner or later someone's going to discover it for what it is. So we just feel that if we honestly try to make the sickest beer that we can, and when people encounter what we do, they can see the passion in it, and they can see like the thoughtfulness in it, that eventually people are going to be like, this is sick. This is the kind of stuff I can believe in, because I can tell the people who are behind it, like their heart's in it, they can see it. A certain part of the population you're going to offend, and a certain part is going to really embrace it. Right. But what's really awesome is connecting with that small amount of people who you really were able to reach. If you looked at the original press release for this beer, it really wasn't a double IPA. We didn't put it into a category. You could call it like an American strong ale, right? Okay. Right. But really what I think it is I think it's when you cross a double IPA with a Doppelbock. I mean, really? Yeah. I mean, because this was an engineered recipe by Jan, and he makes a sick Doppelbock and a sick barley wine. And this is just a recipe that...
It's a German dude making a double IPA. I mean, as far as a double IPA goes, like I said, this isn't the traditional orange double IPA. What did you guys do to make this one a little bit different?
Well, one thing you have to do is you have to boil it down a little longer. So typically you might do a beer like this for 60 or 90. We did this about an hour, 45 minutes to 2 hours of strict boil, and then another half hour coming up to boil. Okay. So really it got boiled for about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Yeah, I believe there's about 3 different crystals in it. Okay. But a lot of them are low on the lava boil. Okay. But then what it is just having that extended boil and simmering time, it brings out that caramelization. You can kind of see where it came from. You can see the orange highlights in it, but you can tell that it got it.
Oh, it's just disgustingly resinous. I mean, that's the best. You guys couldn't have picked a better word for the title.
What do you give for like hot flavor? You get more of that grapefruit?
I get big grapefruit juice. Yeah. Big grapefruit juice.
It's interesting because what we do for this one is we actually use a lot of like the heirloom style hops, which are typically more grapefruity
Yeah.
More piney and grapefruity. And some of like the newer wave of hops, they are moving away from grapefruit and they're getting
tropical fruits,
yeah.
mango, peach, all those. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
No, this is straight up. I mean, grapefruit juice. I mean, honestly, it tastes like a West Coast IPA, but at the same time, it has the malt backbone of like an East Coast kind of bready caramel. For me, this is like a grapefruit exploded in a caramel candy factory.
But I think the grapefruit flavor that you're getting from there is largely from Cascade.
Okay.
Right. But there's Citra hops in there too.
Okay, that's more of like an orange juice.
Yeah.
Stringent.
Totally.
Yeah.
And there's Columbus, right? And there's Chinook and Amarillo. And I think you cover a weird spectrum with that because Cascade is like the traditional grapefruit and pine. Mm-hmm. Columbus, I swear it's like curry. Like bay leaves and, you know what I mean?
It's not one that I would, yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's a pungent spice.
Right.
Basil-y, curry.
Mm-hmm.
Chinook is onion. Right. That's what I get at least out of it. I get like crazy garlic, onion, herb, you know. Amarillo's a little sweeter. It's more of like a peach flavor.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, like you said, Citra is like kind of an orange.
Orange juice, yeah.
You know, we do a lot of experiments with single hop. So like I brought by that Spice of Life, right?
Right, absolutely.
Reality is some of these hops, they're better off being blended. Like I don't want to get all fruit medley on you, but but what I'm saying is like they work better when they're used in conjunction or in combination with other hops.
Right.
They're not really that good solo. They're fun to do solo because they allow you to ascertain what it contributes to the beer.
Right.
But it's incomplete. Like, for instance, certain hops, they're really good at the end of the boil. Like they're really good last 5 or 10 minutes and then maybe aroma addition or whatever.
Right.
But I would never use them for bittering, right? And it has nothing to do with the alpha acid. It has to do with the composition of those different oils and resins.
Right.
So it's fun to be able to put them together and make it a symphonic hop blending rather than just using a single strain.
There's a couple questions from the Facebook community, Beer Geek Nation, that they had for you. As far as the big one is distribution. As far as distribution, what do you see for Sixpoint, you know, in general, or resin as a beer? You know, where are you guys going?
We've been very meticulous and calculated in the areas that we've gone into, and it's usually contiguous markets. So California or San Diego and places like that are really far away. I mean, it's a couple thousand or a few thousand miles.
Right. What do you think, where do you think craft beer is going, you know, in 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, first of all, I hope we're making just as good, if not better, beer than what we're making right now. And by that, I mean quality of beer. So that's the most important thing. But where I see beer as like as a whole, craft beer as a sector going,
right,
as a sector of the beer industry, it's undoubtedly going to grow, right? But I think the major trends are going to be local. So what you're going to see is you're going to see, and you're already seeing it, you're going to see these like little nanos popping up, and what they're going to do is they're never going to be big, but what they're going to do is they're going to carve out this really great niche, and they're going to have outstanding relationships with their local community.
Yep.
And maybe they never have aspirations of becoming a global brewer, or they never have aspirations of even becoming a regional brewer. But what they do is they take care of their customer base that they have, and they have a strong bond in their community.
You're
going to see more consolidation,
right?
But you're also going to see, like for instance, big brewers, big international brewers are losing share here, but they're gaining share overseas. And so what I mean by that is like even if Anheuser-Busch is losing market share in the United States, they're crushing it in China, and they're crushing it in Brazil, and they're crushing it in Russia.
Right.
Right. So it offsets what's going on here. But what's interesting is, I look at a company like Yuengling, right? They're the oldest. They're the patriarch now of American beer,
right?
Because they're the oldest operating American brewery, and it's all in the same family. It's in the Yuengling family. So they're growing, and rightfully so, because like they've kept it going, like going on, I think almost 200 years now, right?
Right.
And so
Lord Chesterfield's is 200 years old. I mean,
it's incredible. And so I have a lot of respect for that as an American tradition. And so there's a lot of people who may feel disenfranchised by the other ones that have been bought up or incorporated by this big international machine,
right?
This profit machine. And they're like, you know what? I want to stick with this local, family-owned thing. And it's cool. It's cool to have that connection. Craft brewers, on the whole, not all the time, but on the whole, we are positive karma generators. If you look at like what we do, we when you make a good product, right, and you thoughtfully engage your customers and your community, and you do things with a lot of inspiration and good intentions, that has legs. That's not something that's just like, oh, this is fun and cute, and then 5 years from now it's toast. No, that speaks to people because it's real. It's not just a commodity. See, that's the thing, is that you have to do that because you're running a business. But that doesn't mean that you have to strip the soul out of something. And that's what happens, is like people feel like they feel disconnected, not just to beer, but like so many other things that you. So now it's like, what's awesome with craft beer is it just represents an underlying. It actually represents an underlying trend. If you look across the board, like people are buying food at farmers markets. And like they're just getting more engaged on a grassroots level. And actually the big X factor in all of this is the internet, because without the internet, it wouldn't be possible to discover.
5 years from now,
right?
Where is Sixpoint? What are you guys doing? Bottom line.
We're pushing boundaries for sure. I think you want to keep your eye on us because we're not. One thing we've never been interested in doing, even if it meant not getting the biggest reception or getting the most fanfare, was we want to compose. We want to do things that we're not doing it just to get a response. We're doing it because
to do it. I mean,
to be out there and to have. To make an impact and to really push forward.
Sixpoint Brewery, definitely check them out. This is a year-round offering from them officially, right?
Yep.
So definitely check it out. Everything else comes in 16-ounce cans. Definitely check it out. Awesome stuff. So from Chris, Beer Geek Nation, Shane of Sixpoint Brewery. Anything else?
Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Yeah.
Definitely. Cheers.